Well, good morning. It's good to see everybody coming in. I'm waiting for some other people to gather here. So welcome to this month's power session. This one is challenging. It is going to stretch you today. So I think it's good to come in with a good mindset to say, I kind of need to get ready. So I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to acclimate to the subject before I just jump in and start preaching, because this one will be a bit challenging, but I think it'll be a great encouragement to you. It'll give you some different perspective and a different approach to things. And so I just encourage you to stay tuned. Thankful to the Portsmouth, Ohio Chamber, the Maysville, Kentucky, the Grayson, Kentucky, the Adams County Chambers of Commerce, the Ashland Alliance. They sponsor these programs. And what that means is they just send out notifications to people and invite them. And I appreciate their support. So let's look at the rules of the game. They're critical every time we get together, but on this subject, they are absolutely going to be necessary and helpful. This is just something that you agree to so that you get the most out of this. So here goes the first agreement. You're going to own this. This particular session in particular is about a personal decision, a personal choice, a personal commitment to be a certain kind of person. It is not a whole lot about how other people are around you or even the effect you're having on them, although we'll talk about that. But this truly embraces the idea that if it's to be, it's up to me. It is a choice to say, regardless of what my circumstances are, regardless of how other people are, I choose to own my own responses. Use my ability to respond. I am going to choose, keyword, to be a certain kind of person. That is what ownership is. Victim thought is other people push my buttons, other people determine my mood, other people basically at times cause me to be the kind of person that I am. And folks, I'm coming head on with a smile on my face to challenge that. As leaders, as managers, as people that work with other people that are difficult at times, you have to at some point make a decision, a choice to say, I'm going to own my responses, regardless of how other people are. Today, I ask you to participate 100%. That's a rule that I have, because basically what you get out of something is what you put into it. The way to participate with this is to set your skepticism and your I know aside and just be curious and interested, maybe take a few notes, kind of be very present and aware with how you're responding. Maybe the things that aggravate you or irritate you or challenge you are an interesting observation. So be objective as much as possible and look down on yourself and look down on this presentation, and let's just have some fun. Now, I think when people own it, I believe when people own their responses and they step up to that, that it is the happiest way to be in life. It's the most joyful way to be in life. That I no longer am a puppet. I'm no longer pulled by other people's strings. Other people do not dictate my mood. They don't dictate my attitude. And that to me is the most fun there is in the world, when you truly have the freedom to choose your response and the self-control to do that. And so that's where we're going today. We're going to talk about the advantages that has, not just for you, but has for your team and for the performance of what's going on. So I'm a business coach. I work with people about increasing performance, about getting a better result. And I think this one is one of the most powerful concepts and ideas and commitments that can increase results in an organization. It's absolutely leadership training today. So that is me. I am your coach today. I've been married for 38 years. My anniversary is coming up in October. It'll be 39. Joyfully and happily married. Have three sons, Michael, Aaron, and Nathan. A bunch of grandkids. I'm the granddaddy of all granddaddies. A business coach for over 20 years. Been working with organizations, nonprofits, and businesses for over 20 years to help them improve performance. I'm a certified biblical counselor. I help with people with personal issues, marriage issues, other emotional issues from a biblical perspective, and I have a passion to help people. So that's who I am. If you haven't, I think most of you, from what I can see on the list, know who I am, but that gives you a reminder of that. So here goes. Unconditional respect. Let's start with the word respect. Now, I may be defining this a little differently than what you might even find in the dictionary. So I want you to really understand where I'm coming from in order to get this. So it's honoring somebody or something. It's giving honor. It is showing a concern for someone else. Think about it. I'm not going to turn my back. I'm going to be concerned. I'm going to regard somebody's presence. I'm going to honor the fact they're with me. I'm going to accept them. That one's a difficult one to get, especially when their behavior is horrible or it's unacceptable. Can I accept the person and not their behavior is the question that will run through this presentation. Kindness. My question for you, is it optional? To choose to respect someone is to choose to always be kind. This is a high bar, and none of us probably reach this standard every day and every minute and every situation. But I'm idealizing, what is it that we're going for as a person? Are we always going to honor the other person, even when they're absent? Are we going to regard them? Are we going to show concern for them? Are we going to accept them as a human being and be kind to them? Are we going to be considerate? Give them consideration. Now, just get rid of that I know and just find this interesting and curious and just marinate in these words. Now we're going to add the word unconditional and see what we mean by that. So I've added those other words from the other slide at the bottom: kindness, concern, regard, honor, acceptance, and consideration. Just think through those words. Unconditional respect is a personal commitment. This is a commitment for you as a person to say, this is who I choose to be. And if you go for the unconditional piece, it's in every situation, with every person, always and every time. Please put down the battling in your head right now about all the implications of that and why that sounds crazy. If that's going on, if you're really thinking about it, it's different to say that I'm unconditionally going to be kind and be concerned and regard and honor and accept and consider other people, other individuals, even the tough ones. What do I mean by unconditional? That it's comprehensive. In other words, it applies to everyone, that it's absolute. That means that I'm not going to partially respect or kind of go in and out of this. I'm going to stay here all the time. It's a sincere thing. Boy, this one's tough. I'm not going to just fake it till I make it. I'm not going to just show up and act like I'm respecting. I'm truly going to engender a heart of respect, a heart of kindness, concern, regard, honor, acceptance, and consideration of others. Folks, this is a habit. And if you choose to commit to it, you can learn it. Unconditional respect means it's not earned. Now, this is the one where I've had people walk out on me, that they say, I think you have to earn respect. I disagree. That it is not a have to, that you can make a personal commitment to unconditionally respecting everyone. Now, we're going to talk about leadership and management. I don't respect other people's behavior, and I don't respect their actions at times, but I respect them as a person. So if you get the distinction here and you're starting to get the flavor for this, it's a powerful possibility. There's no limit to this. In other words, I don't do this for a while and then run out of gas. Now, this is an idealism. This is an idealization. This is putting up something that I don't know of any human being that does this 100% 24/7. I certainly don't, but it is my personal commitment and my standard. I'm just going to let you marinate in this again and just take some time to think about it. You don't have to embrace this right now. I just want you to just find it interesting and to listen and to learn and not have an I know, and to own your response and to participate and even lighten up and have some fun and some thought about what would it look like if I showed up like that every day with every person in every situation, with kindness, and actually maintain my concern and my regard, and even the way I treat them with honor and acceptance and consideration. What would it look like if just you and your environment, your situation showed up like that consistently, all the time, every time? Folks, I think it's a worthwhile commitment. I think it's a worthwhile pursuit. I think in the work that I do as a coach for organizations, when leaders get this and they understand it, it is transformational. It will change the morale and the culture of your workplace. So I just want you to absorb it and consider it right now. And even the problems and struggles you might be having with it, that's fine. You might jot those down and get them out of your head so you can come back to those later if you want to. But I want you just to get what I'm saying it is. It's a personal commitment that's comprehensive, sincere, absolute, not earned, unlimited. It's all of that applied to kindness, concern, regard, honor, acceptance, and consideration. How do people qualify to get this from you? In this world, they have to be a human being. I choose personally commit to treating every single person this way, and even to engendering the heart and the response to that person to be this. Now, crazy high standard and struggle and a challenge for all of us at times. I'm not in denial in some wild world where, well, I'm a human being too, and I struggle, but what is my standard? What am I going for? What do I personally commit to, even in the most adverse situations? That's the question that we're answering. Okay. These distinctions are distinctions that I've taught for many years. These distinctions will help you clarify and define this a little bit better. Because if you're having an inkling, like, I'd like to be able to do that, I'd like to be that kind of person, I struggle with it, Dave. I struggle with it in my thoughts and in my head. It really causes me a lot of consternation. Well, these distinctions will help you. So let's go back to that owner-victim distinction. Me embracing unconditional respect is the move of an owner. What do I mean by that? This is something you have to choose. This is not natural. The natural default reaction of a human being is when they're disrespected and they're treated badly by somebody, or you're attacked, or you're despised, or you're mistreated, is to return the same. That is the default. I call that victim, because what it means is other people can push my buttons and pull my strings. If a person talks to me a certain way, treats me a certain way, behaves a certain way, then I change. I react to them. An ownership mentality is I always use my choice to choose my response. I take a full accountability to my response. I cannot change other people. I can't make other people be a certain way, but I can change myself. That's an owner position. You may feel out of control. You may have some habits and some long-standing habitual responses and reactions that you might feel like there's no way, that's my personality, I can't change that. I'm saying an owner versus victim clarifying distinction will help you if you want to pursue this direction as a leader. If you want to have unconditional respect for other people, you need to understand this is a choice that has nothing to do with what's outside of you. This is all inside. Second, if you want to walk in unconditional respect day by day, you need to distinguish people from their performance. I can respect the person, but not respect how they're acting. Now, most people are so attached to their performance that they will consider your rejection of their performance or your critique of their performance as a disrespect to them. But you do not have to come from a disrespectful mindset and place. We want to attack problems, but not people. Sometimes people bring a problem with them. Sometimes they're behaving in a problematic way. Leaders will go and attack that performance and that problem, but not attack the person. That takes a skill set. That takes a learning. That takes, in my world, some coaching. That takes some example. I need to hear and see what that looks like. It takes other leaders to show you and to model how to do that. How do I distinguish, Dave, between the person and the performance? It's key that if you're going to express unconditional respect, you need to make that distinction, or you will struggle and fail at this. Again, another way to look at this is I need to divorce the problem from the person. We have a problem that needs to be addressed. As leaders on our teams, we cannot let poor performance just go to the wayside. We have to proactively deal with problems. And if the person is involved in the problem, we need to have a conversation with that person. But I am saying, how are you going to show up in that conversation? With unconditional respect, acceptance, honor, kindness towards that person. Again, some people would say, well, I can respect anybody if I can run away from them. That doesn't work. And certainly you're not respecting somebody if you're attacking them. We don't attack people, we attack problems. Again, these distinctions help clarify this commitment if you choose to make it. Fourthly, there is a definite distinction in my world between respect and trust. I can respect you but not trust you. What in the world does that mean? If I have an employee or I have a person on my team that consistently does not turn in their paperwork on time, they don't do the right thing. They don't do a great job most of the time. They don't get the result. I'm not going to trust that that's magically going to happen. I'm not going to be naive and just trust them that they're going to do something different than what they've done. That's naive and that's foolish. But what I'm proposing to you all today is, even though you may not trust their behavior or their work, you can respect the person fully and unconditionally. It's choosing to treat someone and even feel towards someone in a compassionate, kind, honoring way, even though you may not trust what they're doing. Trust in my world does need to be demonstrated. It needs to be earned. You don't just unconditionally trust other people. They have to show they're trustworthy. But I am choosing to say they're respect worthy. In other words, I'm not going to lower my standard and treat anybody disrespectfully. That is the commitment that we're looking at this morning. Just let you look at those again and get them clear in your mind. This is another favorite distinction of mine. I think it is so important that we have to see the difference between expectation and agreement. I actually believe that expecting things of other people can be disrespectful. It's very, very right on the edge quite often. I expect you to do your work. I expect you to show up. I expect you to be honest. Is that wrong, Dave? That's not wrong to expect that. I'm just saying it's disrespectful to treat people like children. Well, Dave, what if they act like children? It's challenging, folks. I'm in the real world. I deal with real world organizations every day. But I'm saying there's a way to move with an employee, with a direct report, with somebody that you're working with, to a place of agreement. And when we agree, we're set free. And to move from expectation to agreement, I have to show respect unconditionally. In other words, I'm going to always listen. I'm going to always consider their viewpoint. I'm going to seek to understand before I expect them to understand me. In other words, I'm going to get rid of expectations and the stuff in my head about them and be open-minded to them. That is how you show respect. I may not be trusting in this point, but I can respect where they're coming from by showing understanding of where they're coming from, by listening. Well, who has the time for all this? In my view, who has the time not to do this? Because this is how you get results with people. Serving versus pleasing. It's another distinction that will clarify what I'm saying is unconditional respect. People of unconditional respect have a goal to always serve. That's to always provide what is needed, to provide what is best, to provide even things that are not comfortable, even things that people don't like, even things that people get upset over. I will do if I want to serve you. Serving is doing what's right and what's best, not what's always convenient, not what's always pleasing to the other person. Think about a surgeon. If a surgeon just wanted to always make people happy in terms of the way he treated them, he would never inflict any kind of pain. Well, a surgeon that doesn't want to inflict any pain is probably not going to be a surgeon for very long. I'm not saying we glorify pain, but it is part of the healing process. It's part of the growth process. Let's use the word discomfort. Maybe that helps you a little bit. Our goal is not to make other people comfortable. Making people comfortable is not respecting them. Sometimes you can respect a person and they'll be very uncomfortable. In fact, I'll tell you right now, when somebody's wanting to push your buttons and get you going and get you off your game, and you keep your self-respect and you keep your self-control and you stay calm and kind to them, it will enrage some people, because their whole goal, they've manipulated people all their life by controlling their emotions and pushing their buttons. I'm saying unconditional respect says, you're not going to make me hate you. You're not going to make me disrespect you. You're not going to make me even be irritated with you. I unconditionally give you kindness. I give you my ear. I give you my attention. I give you my honor. Folks, that's a serving mindset, but it's not always pleasing to the recipient. Our goal is not to make people comfortable. It's to actually provide and serve them in the best way that we can. You have control over service. You do not have control over whether people are satisfied or happy with your service. You can't control other people's reactions. You can deal with your own responses. So again, just look at those distinctions. Those distinctions will help you understand this unconditional respect. I'm going to own my response. I'm going to distinguish between the person and their performance. The performance may need to change, but I'm going to accept the person where they are. I'm not going to attack people. I'm going to attack problems. I understand that I may not be able to trust a person fully at this point, but I can always completely respect them. And the goal is to come to agreement and get rid of expectation. I want a person committed to their conscience. I want them committed to their word. I don't want to have to babysit. And therefore, I'm going to serve, but it won't always please. Those distinctions, it's a lot to take in. That's why I'm offering these slides to anybody who emails me for them, so you can think about them more. This is a whole lot of content, but it's really all the same thing. So I'm going to let you look at it for just a moment here before I change the slide. Okay. Now, the title of today's presentation, or what we're talking about, is the power of having unconditional respect. How is taking this commitment, this personal commitment to be this kind of person, empowering? I'm going to give you several ways that this is a game changer. First of all, it's going to seed your environment and your culture with kindness. If you are always showing up as a kind person, you are a kind influence in that situation. Maybe you're in a toxic culture. Maybe you're in a toxic team. One of you can show up with kindness. One of you can show up with respect. One of you can show up with decency. That could be you. It seeds the culture. There's a principle in the world called sowing and reaping. What you put out is what you get back. It's not 100% every time, but in general, that's what happens. The seeds you plant is the crop you reap. If you will plant seeds of kindness, if you'll plant seeds of respect, if you'll plant seeds of decency and treating people unconditionally that way, you'll start to see it come back to you. You'll start to see it show up in others. It's called leadership. Second, it breaks this downward spiral of resentment and vengeance. The fact is, people, that people carry a resentment towards people who treat them bad, and they want to get back at them. They want to take on the role of avenger, and it feels good and empowering in a sense to them to say, I'll get even, and I don't have to like them, Dave, and I don't have to get along with them. They've treated me badly, so I don't have to have anything to do with them. That downward spiral looks like this. I treat you with disrespect, So you come back with me with defensiveness and disrespect and some negativity, which causes resentment in me, which I express to you, and I gossip about you, and I'm down on you. And there's this downward evil spiral that just goes down, down, down. When you choose unconditional respect, you break that spiral. As far as the relationships you have and the people you work with, you're not going down. They can keep being resentful and vengeful. That's their choice, but not you. You break the spiral. You break the pattern. You quit putting fuel on the fire. It increases influence. This is a leadership session. People follow people who respect them. You want to follow people who respect you. That's just natural. If you want to have leadership influence, respect people. It's that simple. If you do it unconditionally, it means you always respect people. You always respect human beings. You set that as an example, and it's going to increase your influence. Here's what it requires. It requires you to have integrity and kind candor. What's kind candor? Direct, honest, open. What you see is what you get. I don't hide my honesty. I don't hide my thoughts. I always express them in a kind way, in a listening way, in a respectful way, but I don't hide them. I think to be truly respectful of another person, you need to be honest with them. It opens up communication because other people will feel safe around you. If you're a person who always respects the other person and you're known for that, people will feel safe around you because they know that you are not going to disrespect them. Even when they're not doing well, you're still going to have their back. You're still going to protect their person. Doesn't mean you're going to agree with their actions or that you're not going to even attack their performance. At least we're going to evaluate it and work on it. But always as a person, you honor and respect them. It provides unconditional respect, provides a foundation for building a relationship with other people that's based on trust. Now, the trust needs to be established. The trust needs to be demonstrated, but that is what you have to have a foundation of acceptance and respect of another person to build that trust. Because they're not always going to build right. They're not always going to be perfect, just like you. They're a human being. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to mess up. Do we have respect, a respect foundation that is not moved when that happens, so that we can reestablish trust with forgiveness and with kindness and with moving forward? If you have that foundation, you can build trusting relationships, which is a messy process. It's messy because people are involved. I had somebody say once, we'd have a perfect business, we'd have a perfect relationship if people weren't involved. That's all we got around here is people, folks. This is people stuff. This is the way it works. This unconditional respect, when you choose to be this person and choose to behave this way, and you nurture this within yourself, it models this idea of ownership. In other words, people see when you're in a tough situation how you respond, and they see your self-control. And those things are caught more than taught. So if you want a team that has self-control and that isn't just running on feelings and up and down and roller coaster, that's who you need to be. Where you may not be being what you want to be here is in this idea of respecting. You lose respect for other people. You allow yourself to let respect go. I'm calling respect kindness. You refuse at some point to continue to treat somebody with kindness. Well, when you do that, your team sees it. What does your team see in terms of example? Do they see a person who owns their response? Do they see a person of self-control? This unconditional respect teaches other people the power of acceptance and mercy. When they see, when you accept other people how they are, and you are merciful, you don't give them what they deserve, they see the power of that. Other people are taught that by your example. Talking about leadership today. What example do you want to put out there? Do you want to put out an example of kindness and mercy and acceptance of others? I'm not talking about hiding your eyes from the performance and that we don't have kind confrontation with people that need to change, but we always do it in a context of mercy and acceptance and respect. That's the ideal. I'm painting the ideal picture. Folks, I understand this is a high bar and I'm not there every day, but I don't take my eye off the goal. This is who I want to be. This is who I aspire to be. And this is my commitment. And in my mind and in my personal manifesto, it's unacceptable for me not to be unconditionally respectful towards everybody. So now we're going to get down to where the rubber meets the road. Where are the practical opportunities to practice this? This is a practice. This is a habit. This is something you learn and you engender in yourself. It is something that will take work. You will have to work against your emotions at times, your feelings and your desires. It's called self-control. It's called emotional intelligence, in other people's vernacular. You're going, and so these opportunities are the workout rooms. These are the things that occur that give us the opportunity to practice this. So what are some of those opportunities? I'll bet all of you have many of these that come up quite often. When a customer or a patient or a client is giving you a hard time, that is an opportunity to choose to respect the person and work on the problem. When someone resents you and undermines your leadership, in other words, you've been promoted, or somebody in another area sees your promotion, sees your success, sees your progress, and they resent it, and they start to gossip, and they get an attitude about you. That is an opportunity for you, folks, to practice respecting them anyway. Now, I didn't say you might not confront them and talk about the situation and address it, but you are going to do it respectfully. You're not going to return gossip for gossip. You're not going to return hard feelings for hard feelings. You refuse to get on that downward spiral. It's a great opportunity. This is a muscle that needs to be worked. This is a habit that needs to be developed. It doesn't come naturally. It's something we have to choose and commit to. And for me as a Christian guy, I have to pray for grace to be this way. This is not my natural tendency. My natural tendency is to be all about me and to have my personal honor and my personal respect, and how dare somebody treat me that way, and all that ego and all that stuff just causes more problems. I just feed the fire. I'm giving it up. But I need help. I need help because that's not how I feel. That's not my tendency sometimes. When someone ignores your advice and then they mess up, you got a team member that you've been telling them what to do. Maybe it's a child, and you've been giving them advice and you've been giving them the direction, and they're stubborn or they're immature or they're neglectful and they just forget your advice and then they mess up. There's a moment when you can continue to respect them and to treat them kindly and respectfully and with grace, or you can throw it back in their face. I highly recommend that you learn how to respond with respect when somebody disrespects you, ignores your advice, messes up. You've got an opportunity to respond in a kind, forgiving way and it'll be a beautiful learning moment. Just see it as an opportunity. When you offer feedback, which is what we should all do as leaders, is offer feedback and people get defensive. That's an opportunity to practice this unconditional respect. How am I going to respond when I'm trying to help somebody and they refuse to listen? Am I going to respond in patience? Am I going to respond in honor and in kindness? Am I going to be quiet and start to listen? Am I going to really seek to understand more of that person? Or am I going to get impatient, upset, and reactionary? Does that pull my string when I offer feedback and people get defensive? If you get frustrated in that situation, you need to rehabituate if you want to. I'm proposing that you can. But you don't have to be a victim to other people's reactions. How about when your boss gives you a hard time? In fact, your boss isn't giving this unconditional respect to you. Your boss isn't listening to you. They aren't being kind to you. They're not honoring you, and they're not appreciating you. That is a beautiful opportunity to practice unconditional respect. Do you see it as an owner? I'm choosing to respect others. They're not earning it from me. Now, I may not trust them. That's different. That's different. If my husband's cheated on me, my wife's cheated on me, I'm not going to trust them, but I can respect them. Just hear it. Just feel it. When an employee gives you a hard time, you got a direct report and they just turn, you say potato, they say potato. You ask them to do this, they do that. They're not meeting performance standards. They're not fulfilling their role. That is an opportunity to practice unconditional respect. Doesn't mean you don't address the problem. In fact, if you respect them and you care about them, this is about care and kindness, you will address the problem. It's not in their best interest for them to continue to go on that route. It's your job, in a sense, as a manager and a leader, to interrupt bad behavior and to get involved. It's kind to be clear and confrontive. Kind confrontation is what it's all about. When you are criticized, maybe face to face, but maybe in a public setting, wow, that'll set most people off. You have an opportunity to unconditionally respect the person who's criticized you and address the problem. Sometimes we have to fire somebody. Sometimes we have to discipline somebody. Sometimes we have to do that as leaders. That's a beautiful time to practice an unconditional respect. You can respect a person and fire them. You can respect a person and discipline them. Yes, you can. See, if you see the distinction, I'm serving that person and the organization and my team with what is best. But I refuse to be disrespectful and unkind to anybody. That's what we're saying. Even if I'm going to fire you, I don't have to bark you out the door. I don't have to disrespect you. And when someone betrays your confidence, they said they wouldn't say anything. They said they wouldn't go behind your back. And they've betrayed you in some way. That's an opportunity. How are you going to talk to that person about that? Well, you can do it with unconditional respect. So I want to finish this out with saying, where do I go from here, Dave? This is tough. I'm getting my head around it. I like some of what I hear. I'm challenged with some of it. I just think some of it's crazy. Whatever you think or feel, I want to offer you this as a next step if you're interested. First of all, if you just want these slides, there's a lot of words on those slides, a lot of concepts. Email me and I'll send them to you. Second, I've picked out several one-page articles that go through this process and talk about these ideas, be glad to send those to you too. Because this takes some time. This takes some consideration. You have to sit down and think about this. This is a mind shift. This is an inside out process. If you really embrace unconditional respect, it's a change of commitment that ends up in a change of action and words and a different expression. And if I'm not seeing the fruit on the outside, I have to work on the root. Well, how do I work on the root? Work on my thinking, on my head. And that's by looking and thinking and considering these concepts. It starts with a meeting like this, but if you want to continue, there's some more you can read, to meditate on and think about. And then I always make this offer. If you want to have a conversation, you got a particular situation, or you just want a little bit of help from me as your coach, I give away a fair amount of my time because I want to make a difference. And if you will request a chat with me about something that you want help with, I'd be glad to coach you for 30 or 45 minutes on a Zoom call. How do you get in touch with me? Dave Beam at mentordavebeam.com. That is the means. So that brings us to the conclusion today of our meeting. I appreciate you all being here with me, and hopefully we'll see you next time. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.